Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of Campaign Chronicles, France 24's regular countdown to the presidential election. And there's now just 4 days to go. For that, I'm joined by our French politics editor, Mark Perlman. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
And James Creedon, our media editor, is here as well, who'll be telling us about the reaction in the press and on the blogs. Hello there, James. Hello again. Now, Mark, a raft of opinion polls out today, and some of them throwing up some quite unexpected numbers.
Yes, some conflicting numbers, we should say, for round one of the presidential election. So we're going to take a look at two of those polls. One actually shows that Nicolas Sarkozy is trailing François Hollande in round one of the presidential election by 5% in voting intentions. They're well ahead of the far-right leader Marine Le Pen, who arrives in third at 17%. So that's one poll. However, another poll that just came out several hours ago from IFOP actually shows that Nicolas Sarkozy is ahead of François Hollande, 27.5% versus 26%. Not much change with Marine Le Pen at 16%. Right. So the big question is, first of all, is it a big shift? In terms of margins of error, not that much, because it can shift pretty quickly. However, the first poll seems a little bit surprising, because most of the polls show that in round one they're tied, François Hollande and Nicolas Sarkozy, but it's maybe because there are around 20 to 25% of undecided voters, and the pollsters are trying to figure out which way they will vote in the first round, and maybe guessing more than trying to really to measure scientifically what it means.
It's not a precise science at all, is it?
Exactly. It's not a precise science at all. However, when you come to round two, the verdict has been quite clear and consistent for weeks. It's François Hollande clearly ahead of Nicolas Sarkozy. It goes from 8% to 16% differential, but in both cases, it's a huge differential. In 2007, Nicolas Sarkozy won soundly against Ségolène Royal, but it was 53 to 47, and this is considered a big victory. So the polls are still very much in favor of François Hollande, and still no good news on that front for Nicolas Sarkozy.
And more bad news for him, because not one but two defections from former ministers. They say they'll be voting for François Hollande.
Yes, maybe some people are seeing the writing on the wall, and they think they need to make sure their voices are heard just enough, before it's too late. And the two former ministers, one is Martin Hirsch, who was in charge of anti-poverty program. He said he would vote for Hollande. And another one, Fadela Amara, who was in charge of urban issues, said she would also vote for François Hollande. That being said, it's not that surprising, because they were people from the left who were brought in government by Nicolas Sarkozy as a sign of opening to his political enemies. But they clearly said they would vote for François Hollande, so that's not very good for him.
Some might call that ingratitude, Mark. I don't know. All right, now the other one is Fadela Amara, isn't she?
Yes.
James, you've got a bit about us. She's been on the receiving end of some less than charitable comments today, hasn't she?
That's right. Twitter is great for these sort of very inelegant rows between politicians, where they get really dirty and the gloves come off and all of the decorum is out the window.
In less than 160 characters.
That's it. Now here we have Fadela Amara, who we were just talking about. Now she's best known for being a sort of a left-wing person who set up the organisation Ni Pute Ni Soumise, neither sluts nor subjugated. Kind of very provocative language, but it was to defend women who were subjugated or treated badly in certain parts of, in particular in the suburbs in France. In any case, she was part of Nicolas Sarkozy's government and is now going to vote for Hollande. So the fact that she has essentially, what would you say, betrayed the man who gave her a ministerial post has set all the right-wingers out to get her on Twitter. So now, just to give you the details, this is Nadine Moura, Junior Minister for Family Affairs and what they call a Sarko girl. She's a big defender of Nicolas Sarkozy. Now, one of her staff tweeted this. He basically said, Fadela, neither a slut nor subjugated, the name of the organisation she set up, well, a little all the same. So he's basically saying that she's a slut.
I can't believe a politician.
Which is just incredible. Now, he got into big trouble over that and quickly withdrew his comment because you can't really say that now, can you?
Not really. You can get into all sorts of trouble on Twitter, can't you?
That's true. Just to add to this, when it comes to Nicolas Sarkozy's camp, another former minister, Chantal Joanneau, who was in charge of environment and then sports, also said that despite getting humiliated repeatedly by Nicolas Sarkozy, she would nonetheless vote for him, which is not exactly a ringing endorsement of Nicolas Sarkozy. And more troublesome for him, we're hearing that very senior people from his party are doubting that he can really pull it off and win the election. And they're saying it in private, not in public, obviously, but it's not a good omen for him. And this is according to the satirical weekly Le Canard Enchaîné.
Okay, now, one of the ongoing criticisms levelled against President Sarkozy is that he's too close to the rich, and his recent choice of venue for a lunch has done little to dispel that.
Yes, the president of the rich has been a way of attacking Nicolas Sarkozy, and he's always waved this off because this started on the very night of his election back in 2007 when he went to celebrate at a posh restaurant on the Champs-Élysées, the Fouquet's. And this has really hurt him for 5 years, to the point where he had to apologize only recently during the campaign, said, okay, I shouldn't have done this. And now, Le Canard Enchaîné, we just spoke about it, reports that last Sunday, just before a major rally from Nicolas Sarkozy, the rich and the powerful were hosted to a luncheon by his party, and probably for a fundraiser for him at the Crillon hotel, which is one of the nicest hotels you can dream of, probably honeymoon-style hotel in Paris. And so this prompted François Hollande, obviously, to jump on an opportunity, I should say a golden opportunity. Let's take a listen to the socialist rival of Nicolas Sarkozy, François Hollande.
While they were meeting on the Concorde Square, a number of France's wealthiest people were sitting in the Crillon Hotel, which is just next door. That's what sums up this presidential term. It started in a chic restaurant and it finishes in a Swiss hotel.
So just for the record, the head of the Conservative Party, Jean-François Copé, denied that the party was behind this luncheon and countered that François Hollande himself had a lunch at a very expensive restaurant with celebrity intellectual Bernard-Henri Lévy. So there you go. Money and politics, always an odd couple in French politics.
Absolutely. All right. Now, another politician who's popped down to Fouquet's is Eva Joly, the head of the Greens. Not for lunch, I should point out, but just as part of a bus tour. She's been operating detail.
And I think, Mark, you have the details on this, right? And then, well, there was a Twitter war as well. I'll show you about the Twitter war first, and then we'll hear about this famous bus tour. Now, she got into a big row with Eric Woerth, who was the former budget minister, the former Labour minister, former campaign fundraiser for Nicolas Sarkozy. Here's a photo of him. And he had to resign from Sarkozy's government because of a scandal surrounding suspected illegal party fundraising from the L'Oréal family fortune, the Betancourts. So Eva Joly has had up her guns blazing over this particular one and was speaking about it on the radio yesterday morning. And Eric Woerth responded. He said, I see that Joly is trying to insult me to mask her incompetence. I remind people that she has been questioned over defamation, right? And so it turned into this massive Twitter war where they were firing shots back and forth over the bows. And Eric Woerth said, Eva Joly is not worthy to be a candidate for the presidential election. The French don't realise blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and on. She said, and it just turns into this massive row where they're basically, she then says, Sarkozy's guard dogs might bark, but the truth will come out in the end. So people were following it online. It went on for about 24 hours,
and
this big Twitter war.
Quickly, Mike, she has been going around Paris on a bus today. I'm not mistaken, am I?
Yes, you're not mistaken. And Clovis Casalis was actually on the bus tour with her to watch the Sarkozy Paris.
Eva Joly, the former judge-turned-candidate for the Green Party, has her very own way of campaigning. Today she's invited us journalists to hop on that bus for a very special tour. She's called it the Sarko Tour. Eva Joly wants to show us all the places in Paris who, according to her, symbolise outrageous behaviour from the incumbent president, Nicolas Sarkozy.
Those friends of Sarkozy's who went to Fouquet's restaurant to celebrate his victory with him 5 years ago, what's become of them since? 20 of them have been awarded the prestigious Legion of Honor medal.
And we're now on the bus with Eva Joly, the Green Party candidate. Eva Joly, this is quite an entertaining way of campaigning. Why did you decide to invite us on this bus?
No, I wanted to show the most emblematic and most symbolic places of these 5 years of Nicolas Sarkozy.
And what have you found the most shocking during these 5 years?
Oh, there was a lot of very shocking events. Well, we know a lot about the Eric Woerth Betancourt cases.
The L'Oréal billionaire, of course.
Yes, and there are huge indications and suspicions of illegal financing of political parties and that benefited the campaign of Nicolas Sarkozy. This is under investigation today. I want to show how personal he has exercised the power in his own interest and in the interest of his friends.
There's not a single seat left in this venue in central Paris. 2,000 people who've come to listen to Eva Joly, but also to Daniel Cohn-Bendit, who's just behind me. He's a famous left-wing figure here in France. He led the May 68 student riots, and he's among the heavyweights of the Green Party to have expressed doubts in the past over Eva Joly's candidacy. But that's all forgotten tonight. The Green Party appears united. They can't afford to appear divided. Only 4 days before the vote, even though Eva Joly is extremely low in the polls with an estimated 2% of the votes.
Clovis Casali there getting down with the Green Party. All right, we have run out of time. Mark Perlman, thanks to you. James Creedon, thanks to you as well. Thanks to you for watching. This has been Campaign Chronicles, another one at the same time tomorrow. Don't go away.